Happy Star Trek Day, everybody! Welcome to the Highly Illogical Podcast, and today we are going to be talking about is Elon Musk the real life version of Zephram Cochrane? I expect to have some huge debates here today with my panel. Let's get started. All right, let me introduce you to our esteemed panel of Trekkies here today. We have to my right, which would be Admiral Sam Grissom, aka Frank Parker Jr. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great today, Cousin Cheeto. Thank you very much for inviting me on your wonderful program. Why did you bring Sam along?
Well, we got to have somebody to. We got to make sure we're internationally inclusive.
I tick a few boxes that way, you see.
And of course, we have English Zam. Zam, now because you've named yourself that, you have to.
Oh, that was supposed to be. That's supposed to be Ensign Zam. I fucked it up.
I said to myself, oh, okay, now he has to pull the country out instead of his ensign.
All right, so first off, Star Trek Day. Let's talk just a little bit about that, and then we'll get into the main topic. Star Trek Day is, of course, if you do not know, then first off, why are you watching? And second off, prepare to be educated. Star Trek Day is the celebration of the first airing of the original series back in 1966, right? 66? I'm pretty positive, but
it is 66, yes.
And it was a bit of a chaotic because they filmed the pilot originally. They didn't like it, so then they refilmed the pilot, and then they used clips from the pilot in other episodes of the original series. It was a chaotic mess back at CBS back in the day. So that's why today is Star Trek Day. Not to be confused with First Contact Day, which is in April. So, we kind of get that every 6-month marker, So, yeah. So, first off, let's just go around really quick. Obviously, Star Trek has meant a lot to me in my life. I grew up watching Star Trek. My dad watched TOS growing up. He watched The Next Generation. I was a huge Deep Space Nine person. I loved Deep Space Nine before it was cool. Fight me. And I really liked Enterprise, which I know Zam's going to roll his eyes at. I'm a big Trekkie. I've loved Trek for years. I've never stopped loving Trek, and I still have it in my Netflix queue, which it's going away on Netflix very soon. It makes me sad.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I have Paramount Plus, so I can watch it there. But I've been watching on Netflix for eons. I just have this constant running Trek that I keep on rotating through the shows. So Frank, why don't you tell us a little bit about your love for Trek and your history?
Well, my love for Trek started back when Trek was actually on the first run. I grew up with Trek. I think that was back in '66. So I think I was 12 years old when I started watching Star Trek. And at that time, it was really exciting for us, those of us who were following the space program at the time. So it added an extra reality to us. Of course, we also grew up in the time of Vietnam War, of course. So that's where Gene's perfect vision of a perfect future gave a lot of us hope at that time, because we've had our trials and tribulations today and a lot of things, but I come from a time that we had just as much trial, tribulation, protests, and everything else, and the world was looking pretty bleak at that time. So when Star Trek came out, it gave us hope. We were watching the space program. I mean, I had my eyes glued constantly to the Mercury missions, to the Gemini missions, Apollo missions, and it just was there. I mean, I was there at Scout Camp in 1969, July 22nd. I do apologize, July 21st, as Neil walked down that ladder on a 13-inch TV, watching him say those immortal words. So Star Trek, the space program, always been in my heart, and I've loved most of the form. And to let you know, I have started watching Lower Decks. and I saw the first one, and I am rolling in laughter at it. And I'm waiting to continue with it. So,
And by the way, Frank, may I say that uniform there is stunning.
Oh God.
why? Thank you.
Zam, give us your history with the Trek.
First of all, I also want to say that that uniform is not only stunning, it's epic. I love it. I was just thinking about your question, and I was thinking to myself, I don't really remember like how I just got into Trek, but I just have always been into Trek. I remember as a kid watching Next Generation every week, making sure I watch it religiously. Loved it. It was just phenomenal television at the time. It was ingenious with its writing and its concepts. It didn't have to be an action-packed show as well. So it covered so many bases, and which is one of the reasons why I loved it so much. And then obviously we got the films going simultaneously as we got the shows, and they were fun to watch as well. You saw the lore building coming into the equation, and then you see the spin-off of Deep Space Nine, and you think, wow, what's going on here? This is something so different. We're getting Star Trek, but it's not on the Enterprise. That was very unusual. And then more spin-offs started popping out, and I just couldn't get enough of it. Look, my favorite. Well, I would say one of my favorite universes. I mean, as much as I love Star Trek, I have a deep. I'm a deep fan of many things, and Star Trek just happens to be encompasses in those many things. But I do love it. I do thoroughly love it. Hence, I've got this shirt. I've got a couple more in my wardrobe. But I've always been a fan of this stuff, and I always will be a fan of this stuff. I think it's morally in the right place a lot of the time when it comes to the themes of Star Trek. Discovery, and well, not as in the show Discovery, but discovery, diplomacy, understanding new things. Some of the angles they came out with. Just to go on a little bit of a tangent here, do you remember the episode of Voyager where everyone's getting brainwashed by this space creature which wants to eat them, except for Seven of Nine and that little girl with the horns on her head, and obviously the Doctor as well, who's a hologram. And the obvious answer to me was to fucking kill this creature in space. But then the Doctor came up with a reason that we shouldn't kill the creature. It's only doing what it's supposed to do, and we shouldn't have to kill it and stuff like that. And it made me realize, wow, I mean, the answer wasn't to kill the creature. It was another thing, just to somehow escape without killing the creature. And that's just Star Trek in a nutshell, And just because their lives are in jeopardy doesn't mean they have to kill the thing which is trying to eat them, which is very unique, but also very Star Trek at the same time. It's just all these things I just love about it. It's just brilliant. I can't get enough of it, and I'm so happy that we're getting a plethora of shows coming up in the future, as well as having a lovely amount of shows now and different angles we're going with our shows, like Lower Decks, as you mentioned earlier, Frank. It's a breath of fresh air. It's fantastic. I can't get enough. I really can't, and I'll never want this saga, this universe to ever end. We talk about a multiverse. Star Trek is the original multiverse. The original fucking multiverse, man. I want more. I can never get enough.
All right. So, great start. Let's move into now our main topic, that is Elon Musk, the real life Zephram Cochrane. So I'll start off here just by saying, even though I presented this topic, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there are definitely elements to Elon Musk, like him wanting to be a multi-planetary. Actually, I think there's parts where Elon Musk is better than Zephram Cochrane, in a way, just because he wants us as as a species to be a multi-planetary species by the end of his lifetime, and that's what he is trying to start here. And that seems very selfless, and I get it. These guys are billionaires. You got Jeff Bezos launching the penis into space, and letting people have 15-minute joyrides and stuff like that. So,
Richard Branson as well.
Yeah, and Richard Branson as well.
Yeah.
He has. I don't even know what to call that. The fighter pilot in space. I don't know, but
The Virgin in space.
The Virgin in space, yes, with the big wings.
But yeah, like so we have all these things going on, but the difference with Elon Musk, and this is kind of one of the points that I want to get to, and we can dissect this, is Elon Musk is building a space program, whereas Bezos and what's his name? Why can't
Branson.
Razor
Branson. Why can I
Branson,
never
yeah.
remember his name?
Call him Dick.
Okay,
Yeah,
Dick.
okay.
Richard, yeah, call him Dick.
But these guys are building space tourism. I mean, you're just going up into low Earth orbit for a couple minutes and coming back. Whereas Elon Musk is like, we are colonizing the moon, we are colonizing Mars, we are going beyond. And that's why I feel like he is building a space program. Now, you're like, well, why do you compare him to Zephram Cochrane, one of the biggest names in Star Trek? Well, let's look at Zephram Cochrane. Not exactly the best character in the first place. He wanted to build a warp-capable ship because he wanted to retire onto a beach with topless women. I mean, I know people have their issues with Elon, and I'm not even saying that those are unjustified issues. But at the same time, and I think Zam, yeah, I think you have.
I
have,
fucking yeah.
yeah, you have the counterpoint to this. So Zephram Cochrane was nowhere near perfect. He turned into a really good guy though after he saw what his program could become. So maybe people from the future have visited Elon Musk and said, "Look, we need to do this," or maybe he knows that there's some asteroid careening towards the Earth, and he needs to get humanity to multi-planetary species before we get extinct. Either way, Elon Musk is moving at a neck snapping pace towards a space program and colonizing other planets. So, Sam, I'll start with you this time since you're definitely going to be our counterpoint.
Can you see this? It's a bit of my mouse, Mac. Can you see how it's changing colors on the corner?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
See
not
this?
really. Is it changing from blue to purple?
It's gone blue. It's gone now a bit of light blue, greeny. It's gone green now. But my point
you're
is,
doing this because I'm colorblind. I know this.
well, I just want to mention one of the things he's created was this stupid fucking tunnel under the streets of this particular city, and it was reviewed by a particular YouTuber. This tunnel is so fucking narrow that if you broke down in this tunnel, you're fucked, and everyone behind you is fucked as well. There's no actual escape routes and doorways and stuff in this tunnel. It's just a long tunnel with multiple color lights. It changes color like my mouse mat. Yeah, so it's like being in a fucking nightclub as you're driving through it. Yeah, there's a lot of vanity in how it's created, and that's kind of sums up what Elon Musk is. Is like he talks a good game, but he's really full of fucking shit, and I just genuinely just don't appreciate this guy as much as everybody else does. I think there's a lot of nuance in what he does. When he was creating his Tesla cars, for instance, during the early stages of the pandemic, when people were staying at home, he will forcibly try to get people back into his production lines. Well, that's who Elon Musk is. So this person who's trying to benefit our society, I'm not so sure, to tell you the truth. I just think he's a very rich guy with some stupid fucking ideas, and that's what we're getting right now. So to compare him to someone like Zephram Cochrane, who in the end actually found his true self in Star Trek and became a different person. He had a character arc. Yes, he did it for dollar signs, as he famously said in the movie, but once he realized the purpose of what he did, met the Vulcans and so on, that shit became a thing of the past, and money didn't become an issue in the Star Trek universe anymore. I don't think that'll ever be the case with someone like Elon Musk. So regarding all of these ideas of regarding the space program and stuff like that, I want him to prove me wrong. I genuinely do, and I hope he comes to a vision more closer to what you're mentioning, Bobby, cousin Cheeto. But I'm not so sure. I'm extremely skeptical when it comes to him. It comes to billionaires in general. There's so much they could do for society with their money, yet they fucking do vanity projects instead, which is why I'm so skeptical.
Well, and I don't feel like this is a vanity project because I mean, let's look at, and just to counterpoint that, and then I'll get to Frank. Because the space program, NASA space program, has generated tons and tons of technological advancements that we would not have if we did not have a space program. So I get what you're saying, Zam. I understand what you're saying about a vanity project and stuff like that, and I don't disagree with you. This is definitely a vanity project.
I don't want to compare him to NASA. NASA is the closest thing we'll get to real life fucking Star Trek. at this
See,
moment in time.
that's where I'm going to disagree with you, because if Elon Musk has proven one thing out of this entire ordeal, it is the fact that our government, the United States government, has dragged their feet so hard and just budget with the budget cuts and everything.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you now. I agree with you now because this is one of the things I said about your country. Like I used to be very in awe of America when I was younger. You guys sent fucking people to the moon and all of that. That's what that's one of the things I compared NASA to with Star Trek and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not happening now.
Yeah,
where the priorities have fucking changed. But there was a point when NASA was like the progressive part of your country when it came to discovery, exploration, shit like that. I'm hoping Elon Musk can do it, but if he privatizes it, that'll make me really upset because something like this needs to be spread out to everybody. Everybody needs a piece of it, as Richard Attenborough said in Jurassic Park. It's not meant for just for the super rich. You know what I mean? It should be for all of us.
And I agree with you, as I said, and that's the downside here too, what we're looking at. But that's all. As I said, I mean, do we settle for a lesser of two evils at this point, or do we burn the castle down and say we want more? So and I agree with you, but NASA has become a cesspool of.
It's become a museum.
Yeah, it's a museum, and they are doing
it's a museum
things,
now.
But and it's not even. I don't even feel like it's NASA's fault. It is our government's fault.
Yeah,
because I think our defense budget is like over 50% of our national budget, like is into defense and military. And NASA gets literally, I think it's now 0.3% maybe of that budget is NASA. I'd have to look up the actual numbers. I know it was 0.5% at one point. But it kind of shows you, like, and yet all of these advancements have come. The only, where most NASA's money comes from? Patents that they have created. NASA gets their money from the
sponsorship
patents.
as well.
Huh?
Sponsorship and stuff like that as well.
Maybe sponsorship, but I mean, we as an American people, we put out trillions of dollars. Well, maybe not trillions, but billions of dollars into all these other things, and
I think trillion is right.
Trillion is right. We put trillions of dollars out from our national budget, and the space program gets 0.3%. I get it. That's a lot of money for me, Frank, Zam. Like, that's a lot of money. But if you look at it, and on top of that, where's a lot of that money going? Is it actually being allocated properly? Because Elon Musk is doing a lot with, believe it or not, the budget's not that crazy over on his end. So I keep on putting it on. Okay, Frank, let's get to you and your thoughts on all of this, though.
Okay, since the days of winged flight and
Talk to us,
Orville, huh? Yeah,
talk to
exactly.
us, Osage.
We have taken risks. We've taken risks coming across to this country, where if you take a look at the amount of people who have died, who have put their heart and soul into flight, it far outweighs the United States space program. People were flying things at that time that they didn't know would work or not, but they were the pioneers of the entire thing. Where the government has gone wrong is the fact that they put so many safety regulations, push things to the limit when they should have done in pullback, such as Challenger. Government is not the place to develop space. It's not.
Unless
because
the government changes.
Yes, okay, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, people may not like Musk, but at least he's not like Bezos or Richardson. He's trying to actually move to the moon, move to Mars, and actually do some colonization. Whatever his bottom line is, he's willing to take the money that he's made and invest in it. And he's not making any profit off that part of it. Where Bezos and Richardson want to make it a tourism where they're going to profit off of it. It's a big difference. And believe me, Musk has done a lot of stupid things. I'm not going to say he's any gift. But the fact is he is actually trying Who's going to do it if we don't? I guarantee you, China will.
I mean,
China will be the first to put a colony on the moon. I'll bet you $100 right here.
Well, as long as somebody's doing it, don't you think?
Yeah.
No?
Oh no, I have no problems with them doing that. But
Yeah.
the thing is we have lost the edge. The American people have lost that edge of wanting to explore and push out. They become content with what they have. To them, this is not a challenge.
The only reason you went to space initially was because the Russians were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Which is ridiculous. But at least it gives you an incentive to some degree. But regarding like privatization as well as government, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this, because as long as if it privatized, I always feel there's always going to be a way of making money from it, and not necessarily benefiting society from it. And that what concerns me. Whilst at least with government, you know, when your tax dollars and your tax pounds, in my case, are being put into it, it's there to benefit. It's supposed to be there to benefit society. That's why we pay our taxes in the first place.
Okay.
So, yeah, go on.
Okay.
No,
all right.
please.
Let me ask you a question on that. You're
Yeah.
saying to benefit. Did NASA start to benefit people? Did they think they were going to invent Teflon? Do you think they were going to invent, this, that, or the other thing?
Velcro.
They did not know. Yeah, Velcro. They didn't think that. It was the offshoot of that. And I dare say the fact is that, Musk is going to make money someplace across the line, but during that thing, he's going to have to invent things or discover things that is going to help survive on Mars that may benefit in the long run here. I see where you're coming from.
I just don't want, like the more dystopian side of the future would be just like sending people out to fucking Mars or the moon to fucking mine or whatever the fuck they're supposed to do out there. And even if we do colonize those planets and so on, there has to be something for us wanting us to live there. Because honestly, living on Earth right now still seems to be a better choice than the idea of living on the moon or living on Mars. Because it's just fucking, they're desert planets, There seems to be nothing there. They have no atmosphere. You'd be living in a fucking dome. Yeah.
But if you keep that mindset, we're not going to make it anywhere then. Yeah, you're right. Our neighboring planets and systems are all desolate.
Okay, yeah.
And so, I mean, but how will we get, let's just say, which I don't think there is, but let's say there's a habitable planet in Alpha Centauri. How do we get there? We can't just go from being on Earth to colonizing Alpha Centauri. How will we ever get there? Like, and that's the baby steps I think we're taking here.
Fair enough. Yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why I think it seems like, and I don't know Elon Musk personally, and I know he's made some really crazy choices and stupid choices. I get it. I mean, these billionaires do because they've got the money. But let's assume for the second that he is genuine about wanting to take humanity out into the stars. And he's like, look, because making money is a reality of life right now. We are not Trek. We have not created replicators. We have not gotten rid of all of that. And let's say that, let's say Elon Musk scrubs the space program right now. Let's say he scrubs the whole thing, and then he turns his views to Earth, and he says, I'm going to make Earth the best place to live. I'm going to make it a utopia. He can't do that on his own. And human beings are, and honestly, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't trust humanity to take that and help themselves move forward. I would trust most of humanity to take that and just be like, no, give me more. I want to sit at home. If anything, this pandemic has taught us, at least in America, I don't know about across the pond, Zam, but in America, it has taught us that if people have the option to just sit at home and do nothing or do whatever, they will. With all
I don't know about that, Bob. I generally don't know. I think people don't want to necessarily sit at home. They feel restless. They want to go out. They want to do things.
I have to agree with Sam on that. I think there is a majority, cousin Cheeto, that I agree will want to sit on their butt. But I think Zam is correct that there's going to be that group that wants to go out and do that. I don't particularly care for sitting at home all the time, working from home. The only reason that I would prefer not to go back in the office right now is even though I'm vaccinated, I have COPD on the very beginnings of that. And regardless of the fact of whether I'm vaccinated or not, with this new Delta variant and this possible new Mu variant, I'm afraid that those who are not vaccinated are going to be in this corner with masks. We're going to be in that corner with masks. And the air system is crap at work. It's, you get flus going through there. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't feel comfortable right now at it.
Okay. And we're always gonna have an element of people who want to stay at home, want to work from home. And if they stay at home and they work from home, I'm fine with that. As long as they are still contributing to society.
Yeah, I'm working from home. So that I don't mind is working from home. But to sit on my ass, no, I couldn't do that.
I think we get very generalized by people who have got it good in their lives, that everyone else is going to sit at home and do fuck all, when reality is, we are very ambitious as a species. We want to do things, we want to try things, we want to, go places. Not all of us want to, and if some of us don't want to, that's fine. As far as I'm concerned, we're not all going to be the same. But to generalize, I think it is a disservice for us. I think there's more to us than meets the eye.
Well, I think some of us just want to stay at home and make Star Trek Day podcast. That's what that is. I mean,
there's nothing wrong in that either. If you can benefit from it, and even then, there's nothing wrong in that at all, in my opinion.
You guys have more faith in humanity than I do, and I appreciate that fact. So, do you guys have anything? Let's move back towards the Elon Musk of it. Okay, so let's say we do. Let's move to the future. Elon Musk gets us to the moon, gets us to Mars. We start to establish things there. What do you want from as a leader in the space industry now? What do we want from Elon Musk? What do you want to see from him?
I mean, for a start, you think he could even start beginning a colonization experiment or something along those lines in his lifetime? I mean, the guy's already, in his 40s now?
Yeah, but I mean, let's put it this way. Vince McMahon is in his almost 80s, and he's still actively doing stuff. So, I mean,
yeah, but we're talking about, we're
40s,
we're not talking about like a wrestling industry. We're talking something beyond that, man. Going to space. I mean, right now, the only people we have in space are robots, on tracks and shit.
But keep in mind, he doesn't have to go to space. I know he wants to, but he doesn't have to go to space. He can. He's a leader of a space program.
I just feel something like this would have to be continued by a successor, beyond Elon Musk, beyond Elon's. But we kind of stagnated with our space programs on this planet. We were going I remember as a kid every year seeing a shuttle being launched into space for fuck knows what reason, but it was cool. After Challenger, things really started to quieten down after that, unfortunately.
Well, in Columbia.
That wasn't as broadcast as Challenger was.
Yeah.
No, but that put a halt to the space program for a couple years, didn't it? Like 3.
So did Challenger. Yeah, Challenger. Well, Apollo 1 with Chaffee, White, and Grissom.
Mm-hmm. But because of these unfortunately these tragedies, we haven't progressed much with our space programs. If we continue doing stuff, sorry, Frank. If we continue
doing stuff, I'm agreeing with you.
if we were continuing to put the same effort in, and we never had those tragedies, God knows where we would be right now, right this minute. Because Challenger was almost like 35 years ago. God knows where we would be right now if that wasn't the case. It's heartbreaking knowing that we stagnated when we should be reaching for the stars. I agree with you there.
Here's the other thing, that we retired the shuttles back in 2011?
Something like that, which was probably stupid, but we did. We were supposed to have something.
We retired the space shuttle program back in 2011, and I agree with Frank. I feel like we should have at least kept it going in some capacity. But where has NASA gone since then? Nowhere. Their Orion and Artemis projects are not.
I say that tongue in cheek, by the way.
Orion just got another setback.
Yeah.
I just read that the other day that it had another setback, and I'm sitting there going, "Here we go again." They said that the airframes on the shuttles were, worn out. Damn it, we've been flying B-52 since 1958 on the same damn airframes, and they just get upgraded. And that's our mainline bomber. I don't know what the BS was on that. Sorry.
No,
But that's
you know
what
what,
I'm
Frank,
saying, though. It's that. Go ahead, Sam.
you make a fantastic point, because you look at some of your military fighter jets and stuff like that. They are just churning out some of the latest, weapons of mass destruction when it comes to these planes, these fighter planes and stuff. Some of them are invisible to radar and stuff. You look at the designs of them as well. Some serious fucking money is being thrown in these things.
And we can't even build new glorified gliders.
Yeah.
Like.
It's it's like war. It seems to be more popular than Discovery.
Yeah,
and it's a real shame.
It really is.
It's politicizing, and that's what it comes down to. Where someone like Elon could give a shit about politics. He'd worry about it if they said, "No, you can't do that." It's against that. He'd probably move it to Argentina or someplace like that. But that's what happens. You get politics involved with almost anything, and it screeches to a halt.
And I guarantee you, if his space program starts taking, like, I bet you a lot of people are sitting there going, "Oh, he's never gonna do it." And yet, I watch the progress every single week. I watch several YouTubers that actually like monitor like what's going on, and they report on what's going on in Boca Chica, which is where his primary launch and construction sites are. And I guarantee you, I mean, yeah, he's had a couple successful launches, and he's had a couple successful launches and one successful landing. But
yeah, I mean, but that's all part of. He didn't stop the program because he had it blow up.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, so I don't even know where I was going with this now, but I mean,
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm scatterbrained a little bit. But still, I mean, where, like, exactly, like, how much, like, how many delays, and no, I know where I was going. I'm sorry. So with the politics of it all, but once that space program actually starts reaching the moon, I feel like that's when politics is going to come into play. Like, they're going to say, "Oh, well, let's see him get to orbit first. Let's see him get people to orbit in his ships first," because he's been launching Falcon 9 rockets for what, 6-7 years now, I think. And they're reusable. They are reusable rockets. So, I mean, once he starts getting those starships up in orbit, that's, I think, and even to the moon, that's when all of a sudden the politics are going to be like, well, wait a minute. Let's look at these guidelines here, and I feel like there's going to be a moment where Elon is going to either have to be like, look, I'm moving out of the States because you guys can't, I can't deal with all this. And I don't blame him.
And I think he will. He'll probably build, get a private island someplace for the launch facilities and have stuff moved in. He can afford it.
Yeah.
Like a Bond villain.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a Bond villain. But, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like the politics involved in all of it is just so stupid. And I get it. You live in the United States, you have to adhere to their rules, but there's nowhere saying that you have to live in the United States in order to have a space program. What happens if China says, "Elon, come over to us," Mm-hmm. I mean, let him. If they're gonna let him do what he's gonna do, let him.
And when it comes to infrastructure, you saw that video I showed you about the infrastructure in China, how that country is investing a lot of its money in its development. If anything, and don't get me wrong, China's got a lot of issues, a lot of fucking issues under its current government. But if anybody's going to possibly be one of the best arbiters in getting Elon into space with his dollars and with his ideas, China might be it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart, but I don't really like that country when it comes to some of the things they do.
Yeah.
But they are probably the best bet.
And
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Even back in the day, when Robert Heinlein, a very famous science fiction author, wrote "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress," the moon was a penal colony, but the first people who colonized it were the Chinese. And even back in the day, they were looking at that.
And I mean, yeah. And I mean, here's the thing: is that clear something up right now. I mean, I would love for the new space program to come out of America. I'm allowed to love my country, and I'm allowed to love what's best for my country.
Yeah,
But at the
I would
same
love to see
time,
it too.
yeah, I would love for America to be the birthplace of SpaceX and that program, and for us to start exploring the universe through that program, and America being one of the leaders.
I would prefer that too, to tell you the truth.
But at the same time, do I see it happening? And that's the problem that we're going to run into is come 2026, 2027, when Elon, and I know he said that he's going to get to Mars by 2024, but
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit longer.
I think it's going to take a little bit longer.
2024.
Well,
chance.
back in 2018 when he 2018 and 2019 when he was first proposing the Starship program and everything, right before they started building starships, or no, maybe it was earlier than that. I remember watching the announcement video, but they said by 2022 they were going to be on the moon, and by 2024 they were going to be on Mars.
So have we seen anything that would make us believe that he's ready to go to the moon next year? I mean, next year is only a handful of months away. So it just makes me feel that this is like maybe the marketing side of Elon Musk, to sell some more fucking Teslas, regarding.
No, I don't know about that, but I no, they trust me. If you keep up with what's going on in Boca Chica, like they are, in the past year, you look at the time, like I think there's like a time lapse of Boca Chica and like the programs that they have built 20 starships in the past 2 years, I think. 20. We built 5 space shuttles in like 20 years, I think.
20 starships. Have any of them been launched?
They haven't been launched, but like the testing and stuff like that.
Yeah, because for me that's important. Like they could build 100 of them. If one of them hasn't been sent out to space, it means fuck all.
Well,
no,
they've launched like 4 or 5 of them. But that's what they're doing the experiments.
They're the experimental.
Yeah.
He might be smart to move to Canada.
Yeah.
That would really bolster. I'm sure the Canadian government would welcome him with open arms.
There's plenty of land there for him to utilize his shit.
Yeah. It would be interesting though, because at that point, that creates a different. Well, I don't know. China would probably be the same thing. I was going to say climate, but if he moved to China, it would probably be basically the same type of climate area. That's why I think a lot of space programs try to stay down near the equator.
Yeah.
So.
And plus, it helps for orbit placement when they're launching.
Yeah, it would make sense to me. Yeah, from there.
But Russia has their own space program. So Russia's not. Russia comes close to the equator, but I don't think like the southern portions. But
I don't know where.
No, wait a minute. No.
No, they're not really close.
Yeah,
no,
you're right. They're not.
They're not. But I'm trying to think. It's not Vladivostok. Where the heck is there? Where's the Cosmodrome? I'll have to look that up. I should know that, and I don't know it off the top of my head.
Well,
I haven't looked into the Russian space.
I've been to a country on the equator, Tanzania, because that's kind of where my parents are from, and I wouldn't mind them doing it there. At least it brings some for revenue to that country in some capacity.
Well, see, that's the thing. There's plenty of countries out there that would invite something like that, and would invite them not only for the notoriety, but the industry that it would build and the resources, the education, and the infrastructure that it would help with.
Mm-hmm. It's just that balance of government interference, because government, when it comes to somebody doing something in their country, to a degree, they have a right to interfere because it's in their land. They want to make something. They want to make sure certain things are done with the right sort of protocol. At the same time, if they go a bit banana republic-y, then they'll probably want to make something out of it personally for themselves as well. So it's always going to be loads of red tape. And I think the red tape is one of the hindrances when it comes to these particular things. I personally, after, as I said earlier, with like the whole of some of the expeditions your country's been doing in space, I'm not sure if I'll ever see anything like this in my lifetime. I'm 44 years old, and I really don't know if something like this will happen. I would love to see it happen. I'd love to be proven wrong. I really would, but the skeptic in me makes me wonder if we're ever going to progress. I mean, we've got too many things at the moment to worry about. We've got wars all over the fucking world, and we've got a fucking pandemic to deal with. How are we ever going to move beyond that? I don't know.
and everybody has different things. Of course, my vision of the future is like what I see in The Expanse, the program The Expanse. Have you guys ever seen it?
You might have to explain it to me.
All right, this is a sci-fi program that was on Sci-Fi and was on for two seasons on Sci-Fi, and then it moved. I think it was to Amazon. And the basic premise is you have Mars is in the middle of being terraformed. Earth is being Earth, and then there are colonies out in the asteroid belts, mining and stuff like that. And it's a whole political Cheeto, I think he would really like The Expanse.
I've had a couple people recommend me The Expanse.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I just haven't had a chance to
Okay.
really watch it.
But it's more realistic. You don't have the starships out there. You don't have the artificial gravity. You don't, it's what you would. Everybody on Mars, unless they're in the domes, have to go out and wear, the pressure suits and stuff like that. Ceres, one of the big, larger asteroids, is, a colony. They have Ganymede. They're colonizing that, and then it gets more sci-fi into a protoplasma type of life form, to add the spice to it. But it's the whole political, economic reality, and I think, Sam, you'd enjoy it too. I really
sounds
a
lot like more of a Babylon 5, just more condensed.
And it's realistic. I mean, there's humans, nobody else except for this protoplasm, and then things take off. But it's just the political atmosphere and how people are, and it's really intriguing.
Okay. Sounds like Avatar without the aliens.
What?
Yeah.
It sounds like Avatar without the cat aliens.
Well, a little bit. I mean, they
were mining in that. I'm talking about.
There is an alien present that they don't understand, and this is what the whole premise is, and it becomes the light as it goes. But it's a realistic type of thing.
Actually, have you seen Outlander with Sean Connery?
I have been. I need to see that. Honestly, I
watch that film. Watch that film. It's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard that many times. That's been drilled into me too. But I'm sorry,
80s space aesthetic, which is really good. Like Star Wars and all of that. But it's that mining and corruption and stuff like that as well.
But moving back to
sorry, I went on that.
No, that's fine. I'm just getting us back on the path. So we're colonizing the moon, we're colonizing Mars. Elon has his penthouse office set up on the Mars dome. But I mean, do we know? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. You're
just saying that kind of irks me. Like, Elon has a penthouse, and what do we have? Like a 4x4 square box to fucking live in.
I was being facetious.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, look,
I don't want that though.
And I built my own space program, and I took my people, the species of Earth, to Mars. I better get a penthouse corner office. If that was all me and my money, that should be that.
Well, if I was Elon, I would still like to have adequate place to live, but I wouldn't be callous not to let anybody else live in some form of luxury to a degree, so they can be happy. Because happy workers are good workers.
Not being happy. I'm just
okay.
I'll tell you this: colonizing Mars, I don't think that anybody's going to be living in any luxury.
No, not in the beginning. Not in the beginning. No,
not in the beginning.
Yeah, no, because it's like living. It's going to be like living in Manhattan. Like, you're going to have to pay a crap ton of money for a small amount of space, and and I'm sorry, like, you can't complain about it, because it's like we've got the exact same problems here on Earth, like in Manhattan. Until we get ourselves figured out. I mean, we can't, and I mean, it costs a lot of money to transport. Like, you even have to look at supply and demand. How much money is it going to cost for them to bring those supplies to Mars so that you can eat, breathe, drink water? That's why they want to make it sustainable on the planet, so it's not as expensive.
Is there water on Mars? Because if Mars has its own water supply, then my God, that could change things considerably.
Well-
they do say that there is traces of water, and I'll tell you right now, if there's not, I'd be really surprised.
But even if it does have water,
I think
then it needs.
there's ice. Is also
Yeah, and the moon does have water. The moon has water.
Yeah. Even with the moon as well as Mars, I mean, like they need an atmosphere to like have that cycle of water like we have here with rain and so on.
Well, that's
you know,
that's
because eventually the water will run out. You know, so
Yeah.
well, no, but that's when you get into the Star Trek of it all, where you have like systems that recycle.
Genesis.
Yeah, no, recycle. You recycle it.
And then someday
That's what
we'll
they do
have
in
to.
space, Zam. Where do you think they get all that water from in space? It's waste recycling.
I like Admiral Vance saying, "You like the apple? It's made from shit."
Yeah, exactly.
And that Orion lady was like, "What the fuck?"
Then one of these days we should have a panel on the ethics. Yeah, ethics. I used to be able to see that of terraforming a planet.
The efficiency or the efficacy?
Ethics of terraforming a planet.
Well, that could be the next one. Well, like what? Why is that unethical to terraform a planet? If there's
But
nothing
they would probably
What-
use it on Earth, Frank. Like you imagine if you, let alone terraforming a planet, we go just throw it in the Sahara Desert and just turn that into fields. You know that would be awesome.
It could throw off your. It could throw off your. I know there's not a biosystem on Mars, but what if there is that you don't know?
That's true. You are correct. No, but that's what I
Yeah.
mean. But that's why in Star Trek, going back to the Star Trek of it all, that's why remember when they were searching for Genesis, they were searching. They said there can't be one there can't be one part of life or whatever. You know, one ecosystem in that planet in order for them to experiment with Genesis.
Right. Exactly. So that is part of it. Is it right? I mean, to me, the planet I think that I would like to see terraformed, if we're going to terraform it, is to figure out how to tame Venus.
Ooh, that's
It's a hell of a problem, but
yeah, and it's too close to the sun. I really feel like that it would be too close to the sun unless you built like some kind of shielding like planetary shield around it.
Venus. Which one's the closer one? Venus or Mercury? I always forget.
oh, Mercury.
Mercury.
It's like our moon but boiling.
But they mentioned though that the dark side of Venus, I believe, is like fucking freezing cold. Is that the case?
Well, it's not landlocked, but what it is when it gets cold, it's because of the cloud layer. I mean, the surface temperatures with the cloud layer and the greenhouse effect is someplace around 700-800 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And it's sulfur and stuff like this, but it's the same size as Earth. It is closer to the sun, but it's still in the habitable zone.
Is it really?
Interesting.
Okay, well.
Yeah, it is.
Because
And
Mars gets a bit. Mars gets like below freezing temperatures though, because it's.
But the temperatures would change because if you have an atmosphere involved, like our planet. I mean, if our atmosphere disappeared, I mean, we wouldn't suffocate. We'd freeze to death first.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, like Mars is still millions of miles compared to us.
Well, yeah, but the habitable zone is billion. I think it's maybe not.
But
billion,
if it had the atmosphere, though, it would just be a planet covered in snow. No, because it's just always going to be cold.
No,
it's just not close enough.
It's still if you have an atmosphere, the way an atmosphere works is that it catches stuff and it holds it like that. So like that's like Earth. Like it's not like we are in the perfect placement in the habitable zone, but it's like with Venus you have really hot, but with the proper atmosphere you might, with the UVs and everything like that, you might be able to.
Well, this is why I recommend
habitability on certain parts of the planet.
Well, you got
the moon. You got the moon, which is obviously, in my opinion, be the best shot because it's in earshot of our own planet. But then I'm not sure about moons of all these other planets. People forget about those as well. I mean, I look at moons as basically mini planets, which is what they are. And
Titan, everything out there. They've talked about Titan. There was I'm trying to think of the one, Ganymede, and there was what's the one
there's tons of moons. Saturn and Jupiter have got loads, but I'm not sure if Venus has any moons. I'm not sure if Mars has any. I'm not sure if Mars has any moons.
Yes. Phobos and Deimos.
Yeah, it
They're
has
two, and they're two really small. They don't do too much of a.
Well,
And
but here's
one
the other thing,
rotates
Zam,
backward.
is that a planetary body has to have certain conditions in order to support an atmosphere. You can't just stick a terraforming thing on the planet and be like, it'll tear. No, you have to. The terraforming unit is like a catalyst to start a atmosphere and to start an ecosystem. You know you the that's why Venus and Mars are good candidates because they're in the habitable zone. You can't just like colonize Pluto because that's way too far away.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
you can't colonize. I mean, Jupiter's.
Uranus.
Yeah, you
Ju-
can't do Uranus because it's like it's way too far away.
Oh, and it's a gas giant.
Well, and it's a gas.
Yeah, yeah. Same with Jupiter.
Although I
Yeah,
still
but
want to see what's under there. I want to look under
but
the skirt of Jupiter.
they say they think that Uranus has a solid core, but like Titan and Ganymede, there's a couple other moons that are possible. I think it begins with an E, and I can't think of it right. Not Euclides, something. They have water. They also have methane,
Yeah.
and methane is a possibility, and silicon is also a possibility for formation of life.
Yeah.
Not as we know it, Jim. Jim, not as we know it.
But yeah, I mean, because it actually goes back to the Romulans. You want to know why Romulan blood is green? Is because it uses copper instead of
Exactly. That's
instead
why
of
Vulcan
iron
is. Yeah.
to move its oxygen throughout its body. Life can find a way.
No matter who the mother is.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of answering that question.
Oh, you weren't on that?
I don't think
that
so.
no.
Just to mention, like, why does Spock have green blood if he was born from a red-blooded woman? You know, that always bugged me. You know,
Probably because the Vulcan gene is dominant.
That's what I was thinking, but
yeah, but all his blood would have come from his mum. You know, so
Yeah, but the genetics have to be there. Okay. Anyway, we're not getting into utero development.
But yeah, I guess if he's out of the womb and he's walking around, maybe the atmosphere turns his blood green. So I'm fine with that.
The atmosphere doesn't turn. Okay.
Okay, whatever. I'm not a medic. You know,
we already had this over on no budget.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have habitable domes on the moon. We're working on habitable domes on Mars. You know, where do we want this to go? Do we want? I mean, are we wanting to get ourselves sustained between our three marbles, or are we wanting to keep moving at a breakneck pace? Because here's where my one problem with Elon Musk comes in is I think he might keep pushing us to keep expanding out, and we might get the problem with the Germans in World War II, where it's like we keep expanding and then we get too thin. And I feel like, you know, when do we stop for a moment and get sustainability and then keep moving? And I feel like there's a moment where, because once we get to Mars, that's been Elon's whole sales pitch. You know, like, where do we want this space because essentially, like, it's not our space program, but at the same time, it's like as a species, we are invested in this because
he needs us. I mean, he could have all the money in the world without manpower. Elon Musk can't do shit, and I think that's fundamental. I just don't want it to be biodomes in space where we just fucking go there and we can see the Earth from our fucking jacuzzi in a dome, and I don't want that.
Well, honestly, in our lifetime, Zam, that's where we're going to be because terraforming technology is well beyond our capability.
No, I don't want it to be focused on that. I don't want it to end up being glorified holidays or, as you say, vacations in space. It's really hard to actually put my mind around this because I think wherever we go with this might be beyond my comprehension. You know what I mean?
Elon has always said that his purpose has been to colonize, not just make it into a resort.
Yeah,
but to colonize.
He wants us to be a multi-planetary species by the end of his lifetime.
And then the jump off point to me, answering your question, Cheeto, is then we go to the asteroid belts to mine what we need for,
we could have a Jupiter station here pretty quickly. Maybe
I think you guys are focusing a bit too watching too many sci-fi movies when it comes to that. Personally,
But here's the thing. Look, but
No,
look at okay.
we've landed on an asteroid to do samples of that to find out what it's made out of. I mean,
yeah.
Robotic mining would be easy to do once you've got established.
we
But
can try and find out what the moon has to offer. For argument's sake, if we colonize the moon first, see what it has to offer regarding minerals, and extract it from
the
that
same
particular.
as Earth, because the moon is a part of Earth technically. Like I mean, it's a part of the. It was originally a part of the same planetary body. It just broke apart and then formed into the moon.
We had a collision of one planet came in and hit us,
And then the moon
and
formed.
hit us again. Yeah, and the moon
It's
formed
not just,
out.
but we need education is fundamental, because you can't be sending fucking idiots into space, and we need to send lots and lots of people into space in order for it to make this work.
But we need to send people who have skills,
a variety of skills, but not,
carpenters.
and all of these people have to be in the best physical shape of their fucking lives as well, because
I
you
guarantee
you can't be sending us there. You know what I mean? My gut hangs over my waist. Yeah, but you look at all the astronauts who go out there; they're fucking athletes. You know, if they weren't fucking astronauts, they'll probably be in the Olympics. You know, that level of they have to be. So initially, if you want something like this, you're gonna have to send thousands, possibly tens of thousands of people of a supreme level of physicality as well as mentality. And that's not going to come cheap for Elon for a start, but these people want fucking money.
But if Elon's proven one thing, he's willing to pay that bill. That's what I'm saying. You know, like I really feel like I mean, so far he's made he had some government contracts, yes, but has he made back the money that he's put into the program? Absolutely not.
No.
He has not made nearly enough money to actually turn that. SpaceX has been in the red for so long, and I mean that's what it's supposed. But he knows that. That's why he's like, okay.
He became I'm not sure if he still is, but he's the richest man in the world
Currently, yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so
I think Bezos is.
I think Bezos definitely was, but there was a period where Elon Musk surpassed him. I'm not sure if that's still the case.
No, I think Bezos stepped down as the CEO of Amazon, so I think that's kind of what did him in.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, if you're talking about people who've got more money than fucking sense, so nevertheless, he's always going to have a shitload of money to throw at whatever the situation is, I guess.
Well, then maybe Bezos should turn, now that he's stepped down from Amazon, you know, because I'm pretty sure he stepped down, or at least he has a plan to step down as CEO.
Man, he hasn't even resolved the issue regarding his own staff being able to take a shit without fucking, losing any money.
Wow.
You know, so
but
we're talking about this sort of person.
Keep in mind, these people got rich for a reason. You know, like I don't agree with it. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with it. But these people are the richest people in the world for a reason.
Yeah, because a lot of them. Callous is one of the reasons why he's so rich. You know, I never really known a billionaire to be necessarily like a good person. I mean, we have Stan Kroenke, who's the owner of my football club, and sorry to go on a little tangent here, but he told the people of St. Louis when he bought St. Louis that he wasn't going to move the team of St. Louis to Los Angeles. And what did he do? He moved the fucking team to Los Angeles. He lied to them to their face. It was recorded by CNN at the time. And these are the sort of people we're dealing with. So
we got politicians that do that every single day. So
no, but we're talking about people with money. Yeah, politicians is one thing, but when it comes to billionaires, integrity, I don't ever see that with these people, because you don't get that rich by having that, in my opinion. If you had integrity, they wouldn't be billionaires.
You know, I was just looking up something that you guys had mentioned before. Actually, Sam did. The average age of an astronaut is 34 years old, and they range between 26 and 46. Okay, what age did we send John Glenn back? He was what, in his 70s?
Yeah, I think he was in his 70s. He was up there.
He was up there. So with the right conditioning, age does not really... And I guarantee you, John Glenn was not the way he was when he first flew in Mercury.
No.
He was a congressman, and we flew him to the space station, and he was the oldest person to go into space.
But we're talking about people to actually do physical work on building colonies. That's a different thing than a trip into space.
I think what Frank is trying to get at is that he's going to the moon when we get there.
1/6 gravity, better on the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Mars is the same thing. You're going to be able to do more exertions in a lower gravity environment. I understand what you're saying. You're going to have to, still have a lot of mental functions and have dexterity and things like that. There's no doubt of that.
Plus muscle integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. The cardiopulmonary, system would definitely have a lot less stress on it on a 1/6 gravity versus a 1 gravity. All right, so I'm gonna start wrapping this up. So,
Okay.
so we kind of talked about the beginning, the middle, the end. Point, counterpoint. Just what.
I just want to add that even though I'm coming across as very skeptical, I want more, expeditions into space. I want more of this. I want as much as possible. I would love, instead of focusing on fighting each other all the fucking time and military budgets, throw it into shit like this. This is our future. This is the stuff we really need to be doing. And I would love more of this, whether it be government privatized. Well, I'm not so privatized worries me a little bit, but I would want more of this regardless. This is the direction we need to be going as a society, as a fucking species.
Zephram Cochrane was privatized. Just saying.
Yeah. Just saying. and he was looking for tits on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So my last question, and this is going to be quick. What do you want the first Starship to look like? Zam, go.
Ask Frank, because I'm still thinking.
Like with our current capabilities.
Oh wow!
With our current capabilities, what do you want our first Starships to look like?
Actually, a practical starship would, in this space of time and what we have, would be something probably either round or something like that, because it really doesn't matter in space what the design is.
Yeah,
really
no
doesn't.
resistance.
As long as you have the proper propulsion. What I'd like to see is a saucer. Yeah, I think a saucer would be good with the engines behind it. I think it gives you that. But we have to also look at, we don't have artificial gravity. So if you have something that's cylindrical, you can put that gravity force on it. That would be the most practical.
2001. Remember when that lady's walking around and she's picking up the pen and all that sort of stuff, and the guy's jogging, and he's like a cat on that fucking wheel and shit. Yeah, to a degree, that would be cool. But at the end of the day, when it comes to taking off from space, they always need some sort of rocket propulsion, won't they? So that needs to be added into the design. Until we can figure out a way of not doing that, that will always need to be added into the design. But once again, something like this, it'd be on my comprehension. But I'm going down the 2001 route.
See, what
sure.
I would like for them to bring back the shuttle design, but like leave them in space. They don't have to land on like Earth, but like have them transport between like the International Space Station, the Moon, and Mars. And put whatever propulsion you need on them, as well as whatever tanks you need. Like launch the tanks into orbit and then attach them on to the space shuttles. I like the design of the space shuttles. I know I'm like just geeking out, but at the same time, why not just have the space shuttles that go between the planets? As long as you have the right propulsion, you're right. The design doesn't matter.
For me,
it's easier to launch from space. So that is that would be the way I'd go too, is to take or here's the other thing that not a lot of people talk about, that was something that Arthur C. Clarke proposed, and they have talked about, as a space elevator.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, they're like the Voyager with the tether thing.
Yeah, it tethers up, and you go to a certain area, and you're in orbit, and the energy is there. I mean, you put a couple of those in orbit. I mean, that is
hardcore maintenance for something like that. Every section of it. I mean, it's a lot of ship, so to speak, a lot of stuff to keep an eye on. But for me personally, it's the space suits. I've always been bugged by the fact that you can't touch your face in a space suit, and if they can never get around,
kind of the point.
I know. Look, I know that God damn it. Yeah, but I touch my face all the fucking time. I need to pick my nose all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Exactly. I get an
Put a
itchy
little
nose.
hand in there that will walk around.
You get an itch in your face, you're fucked. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
You're absolutely fucked. So things like that have always bugged me. I wish that's the sort of thing I would not want to get resolved. How can you touch yourself in space? I know that sounds wrong, but
That was not good.
yeah, but
I don't know. I don't know how you would resolve that without having like
not, not
personalized
just
force
that,
field bubbles.
not just that, but like they have to make being in some sort of suit much more easier to move around in. Like you see the size of these fucking things; they're chunky as hell. If you're going to build colonies in space, you need practical,
Well,
attire.
Yeah,
and
you're
if you look
gonna.
at some of SpaceX's new space outfits, I mean, they're actually more practical than the NASA ones. I mean, they're a little bit more slender. I do question because there's a lot
Figure
of things you got
hugging.
to protect against out in space: radiation, the cold. Uh, you
Yeah,
know. So and there's layer upon layer of countermeasures because it's like you don't if you get one little scratch on like your elbow, you don't want the whole suit to depressurize.
No.
So I mean, making a practical spacesuit that is like what you're talking about, something that's a little bit more slender, is it's a bit risky because you're exposing the less you have, the more you're exposing yourself, potentially exposing yourself to the elements. But I get what you're saying.
And as we go further down the line, we are going to come out with more technology on different materials and things like that are going to be. I mean, it's just like coming from the days of the tube and transistors down to the, chips. I mean, how long ago was polar fleece invented for a thin jacket that will keep you really warm in a cold environment? Compared to the foam, not the foam, but the um, duck filled,
Installation.
parkas and stuff like that. Yeah.
well, if we see any progress before the end of this decade, I'd be impressed. Anything, like even our first ship, whatever. I
Zam,
want to.
I think you need
Yeah.
to look into what SpaceX is doing. I watch programs like Marcus House. They're actually Australian, and they follow all of the stuff at SpaceX and everything that goes on at Boca Chica, as well as other programs like
Bet
around
you
the world.
Australia would take them too.
Yeah, Australia would take them. I also you won't like this one. I watch a Space Eccentric, but they are very like Republican, like and they're very Republican about it.
We
And
want to make laser guns and stuff like that.
no, just about like the political stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
and then I also watch. There's one more I watch, and I just lost it. But
Well,
there's
only one black
definitely
guy in space amongst seven or something like that.
well, I would say check. There's tons of SpaceX type programs out there. Everyday Astronaut is another. He looks a lot like Will Wheaton, so I think you'd like him. Um,
Yeah,
but he,
personality
he
matters more than his looks, but okay.
but watch. There's a lot of YouTube creators out there that do SpaceX stuff, and they're really good. And it just you got to find the right one that you like. But they do all the reporting. There are several people that have 24-hour monitoring of what goes on at Boca Chica. Like they've got cameras set up all over the place, and they just monitor.
Give me some links after the show.
Okay, but yeah, and anyone out there, I would encourage you check these out. Get involved. Watch what's going on because this is the stuff that's going to be taking us into the next stage of humanity, whether we like it or not, or whether we're ready for it or not. I mean, I feel like that we are moving at a breakneck pace to where we should probably be because honestly, if all these delays and stuff didn't happen with NASA over the years and the budget and stuff like that, I feel like we would be much further than we actually were. And I would encourage everyone to, I mean, as I said, I'm not sitting here saying Elon Musk is the best person in the world. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying educate yourself, see what's going on in these programs, make the judgment for yourself. And I guess that's it. So unless anyone else has anything else to add, I think we'll wrap it up here.
I'd like to see
SpaceX,
more of
baby.
these.
Yeah. So I have scanned all of you, and you all are awesome. So with all that being said, I had to bust out my last toy. Sorry.
I already knew that, by the way, but thank you.
I was talking to the audience, not you, Zam.
Oh.
Oh, there's the hair. That looks like
There's the dribble.
There's the dribble. All right, everyone. So this has been the Highly Illogical podcast. Frank, thank you for joining us. I believe this is your first time on our program.
Yes, it is, and it was very enjoyable.
We have been on your program many times. Please check out Frank's channel. Well, Frank and
No Budget
Anne's
Productions.
channel.
And No Budget Productions, Filk Parrot Productions.
Yep, go over there, and they're one of our recommended on our channel. So if you go into the recommended channels tab, you will find them. Zam, as always, my Trekkie friend, thank you for joining me.
Right-handed.
And everyone, have a awesome Star Trek day, and keep on geeking on. Oh, I just stole Vance's phrase.
No, you didn't steal it. I use it all the time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, keep on geeking on, everybody. Live long and prosper. We'll catch you next time.
Take care, everybody.